simplified how you can use generative AI models and integrate them into surveys and quiz. Uncharted world really of opportunity where you have intelligence combined with access to data, and then the AI can actually come up with a personalized cocktail recipe. It's not going to eliminate the sales jobs, but it certainly is going to help salespeople be more productive and drive more revenue. The thing with large language models is they don't learn from the interaction. Most people don't like to use chatbots. Historically, they're kind of more of a cost savings mechanism. Data that they can acquire directly from their customers, that's really gold. That sort of data is gold. AI can improve all aspects of the current automation.
Welcome to another episode of AllAboutAI.com exclusive interview series. Today, we have Prakash Mishra, CTO and co-founder of Wyng. In this interview, we'll explore the transformative power of AI, how Wyng creates interactive experiences, and its role in redefining customer engagement. Let's get started. So starting from your background, could you share the journey that led to the building of Wyng in 2020 and the core vision behind its establishment?
You bet. When we founded Wyng, Wendell and I, originally, actually, we went to market under a different name. It was initially called OfferPop. And when the business first launched, we were really focused on, which was, a little over 10 years back. At that time, we looked at the emergence of social media as really a new channel of interaction between brands and consumers. Okay. And this was actually when we initially went to market with the business, this was before there was any advertising on Facebook. Okay. So at that time, Facebook was an organic, really media channel.
Okay.
And brands were investing a lot in building their fan bases on Facebook, because it was brands obviously have used email for a long time.
Yes, of course.
But with the emergence of Facebook, there was an opportunity to build lists of consumers interested in your brand, where you had much more data about each person. So it was a much richer environment for marketing than email. And that was our original vision when we started OfferPop, was to look at really social media as a richer mechanism to engage your marketing audience. Okay, but not through advertising, specifically through owned programs similar to email.
Okay.
But again, messaging on social media. So that was our initial vision, and actually, it was a really great fit with the market need at the time. I think there was a transformation, though, we went through, because once Facebook introduced paid, and they did an amazing job introducing advertising, which pretty much started around probably 2016, 2015, 2016. Really, Facebook shifted from being a platform, as far as brands were concerned. The equation changed from an organic reach kind of model to a paid reach model. And as a result, sort of the problem we were solving of helping brands build their own audience became less important. And so we pivoted the business into Wyng at that time, probably around 2016, 2017. And we shifted from an attention to social media to a focus on owned media and owned data. And so really, quite simply, what Wyng focuses on is working with brands that are trying to build their owned data assets, their email lists, their direct-to-consumer kind of information. We help them really grow their owned audiences and enrich the data they have about their owned audiences by interacting with their owned audiences. So, for example, if you have a new email opt-in, you can immediately follow up with a beautiful survey
Mm,
that that person can use to tell you some of their product preferences.
mm,
And then once you have that data, you can better segment and personalize your email outreach.
yeah.
That's a very core example of what clients work with Wing on. So we shifted from really a social media focus to an owned media focus and an owned data focus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's quite
Okay.
understandable now.
So that's Wing. And then, I mean, we've only in the last probably year and a half really
Mhm.
actively been exploring how we can leverage AI to really give our customers some powerful new tools. But that's a more recent evolution of the business.
I see, I see. Interesting. So how has Wing's approach to customer experience evolved over the years, like especially with the integration, of course, AI technologies?
Yeah. So over the years, really what we focus on is, first of all, our users, our target clients usually are large enterprises, often global enterprises. And in many cases, these are businesses that their primary business is not direct to consumer.
Okay.
So, for example, while we have some retail clients, a lot of our clients are large product companies. Maybe they're in the beverage space, maybe they are in the beauty and health kind of product space,
Mhm.
uh, or other consumer packaged goods type companies.
Yeah.
And these companies really value their relationship with customers, but they usually sell through distribution channels. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for them, data that they can acquire directly from their customers and any digital engagement they can have with their customers, since they're not buying
Right.
directly from,
Mhm.
them, that's really gold. That sort of data is gold. So, how the kind of Wing um, solution has evolved is
Mhm.
really giving these companies easy ways
Mhm.
without spending a lot of energy with an agency or a lot of development energy. So no code, low code type
Mhm. Yeah.
solutions to quickly build beautiful engagement and data capture
Mhm.
experiences that they can either launch on a microsite or embed anywhere on their website, right? Or in a mobile app. So, in any place where a brand wants to be able to engage and maybe collect some data
Mhm.
from a customer or a prospect,
Mhm.
they can, without a lot of effort, create a beautiful survey, a beautiful quiz, a
Mhm.
beautiful form in
Mhm.
Wing, get a little bit of a snippet of code, and then, publish it somewhere on their website. Does that
Interesting.
make sense?
Very makes very easy for them to
Yeah,
get away with
exactly.
to
And
get
so I
along
think
with
the
their
focus,
yeah.
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 Um, we sometimes use the term micro experiences, but in some sense, you have these moments that you
Yes.
have of customer interaction. And
Yes.
often that is a moment where there's a chance to learn something about your
Of
customer.
course.
And if that's the case, you can create a little experience in Wing that'll let you learn something and then distribute it into that moment.
I see. Yes, of course. Interesting. So, talking
Yeah.
about AI integration in SaaS platforms, with AI
Yes.
being applied to enhance customer experiences, what unique advantage does Wing offer to improve these processes?
Sure. So really, when we look at AI, there's two core areas where our users can benefit from AI. So again, our users are brand managers.
Right.
They are marketing teams, usually at mid-sized to large global businesses.
Yeah.
And for for one of the core problems any marketer has is to have engaging content,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Like
Everybody wants to be engaged.
and that's so there's one of the key opportunities we see is
Mhm.
anytime you have an engagement program of some kind. Let's say you have a product survey, where you're kind of engaging somebody to get some preferences.
Mhm.
Um, if you can introduce AI, that can maybe allow you to make that experience more personalized, um, generate more content variations,
Yes.
and in a way where it can really streamline, how much upfront effort you have to do to really make an experience more relevant to whoever is interacting and maybe more fun.
Yes.
And so we have a whole set of capabilities in Wyng, which we refer to as generative AI engagement. And these are an example would be if you're let's say that you're a beverage in the beverage industry, let's
Mhm.
say even alcoholic beverages,
Mhm.
and you can create a cocktail drink generator,
Yeah.
right? Which where you can ask someone, well, a few questions about what kind of event or what kind of beverage they want, what their
Mm.
favorite um, ingredient maybe is, and
Yeah.
then the AI can actually come up with a personalized cocktail recipe.
Yes. Yes.
And why is that interesting? For a beverage company, first of all, that's just a fun interaction, right?
Mm. Mm.
Here's what I like to drink. It's coming up with a personalized recipe for you.
Mm.
That recipe includes the company's products,
Yes.
and that recipe can include links where the person can, let's say, click through to a retailer, to
Yes.
purchase that product.
Mm.
But that also becomes a shareable experience.
Yes.
And at the same time, you've collected preferences.
Yes.
So, all at once, you've learned somebody in your email list, you've learned their beverage preferences, you've given them something of value, a personalized recipe.
Yeah.
You've given them something shareable because they
Yeah.
might say, "Hey, check this out," and so more people might then try out that little app.
Yeah.
So that example I gave you, a marketing sort of just a marketer, business user with no technical skill
Mm.
can build that with Wyng right now, probably in about 10 minutes
Wow.
because we've really simplified how you can use generative AI models
Mhm.
and integrate them into surveys and
Yes.
quizzes. So that's
Yes.
what we call generative AI engagement.
I see.
Okay.
Interesting, actually.
Yeah. And I can, separately, send you some links to some examples if you want to
Sure,
see
sure.
what these
Would
look like.
definitely love to see that. That
Um,
actually the success stories, I would call it success story, whether it's just a post or anything. It's still a
yeah.
success story. Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. All right.
Um, and then there's a couple other areas where we see on the marketing side AI opportunities that are really interesting.
Mhm.
One is in the area of really, programs where consumers can upload a photo of something,
Mhm.
and then, the brand can do something with that photo. And,
Okay.
so an example might be, there's a large, there are actually a few different programs. There was a large program. This was not a program that Wing powered, but
Mhm.
there was actually a large program in India where, a major CPG company did get people to around one of the holidays
Okay.
where the goal, I think, was to celebrate, the power of motherhood. They got people to upload photos of their mom,
Mhm.
and then they would put it in the like a avatar of one of the Hindu goddesses. So they would
Okay.
sort of give them back a photo,
All right.
imagining their mom as, Durga mom, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that
Yes.
that's an example where you're kind of engaging someone
Mhm.
in something that, again, where they feel like um, they're getting some
From memory, value,
interesting, it's
Yeah.
personalized, it's at large scale. Again,
Yes.
it's organic reach.
Mhm.
So those sorts of programs where there's users are uploading an asset and then you're doing something with it, I think we see opportunities there. Um, and then the final place where we see AI, which is a really important one, but this is true across probably many SaaS categories,
Mhm.
is AI can really help a marketer um, come up with ideas for
Mhm. Yes.
campaigns and
Yes.
also optimize campaigns. So we think of more on the co-pilot side.
Yeah.
So, so far everything I was talking about is consumer facing
Yeah.
with generative AI.
Mhm.
But the co-pilot side, we see really great opportunities because it can streamline and make each person on the marketing team more productive
Yeah.
and also help them to deliver better outcomes.
Yeah, definitely. And they may maybe come up with different ideas, having ideas.
Yes.
Ideas actually give more ideas to, have more preferences. Anyway, talking about industry developments and collaborations, how do collaboration with other technologies companies
Yeah.
amplify Wing's impact in the SaaS customer experience platform industry?
Okay. Sure. Yeah, it's really important. So Wyng is kind of a best of breed set of APIs and point solutions, that solve a certain problem. And so it's really important for us to integrate with the marketing stack that's
Yeah,
in place at any of our enterprise clients. So,
yeah.
and we're actually part of a consortium called MACH. I don't know if you are familiar with MACH. Um, MACH. I think you
Okay.
could
Okay.
look it up. But MACH is a whole set of independent software vendors
Okay.
that design their systems to seamlessly plug in
Hmm.
to an overall enterprise solution. So, our strategy is to be best of breed, enterprise class
Hmm.
with, open AIs not AIs, with APIs and integration points, so you can plug us into an overall solution.
Okay.
Okay. The key systems that we usually are integrating with at a typical client is, first of all, Wyng is a data capture platform. So we're collecting data from customers and prospects, again, with surveys and quizzes and forms. So that data needs to go to the client's CDP, data lake, or potentially email system, ESP, mobile marketing system, which might be used to send text messages or email.
Yeah.
So, that sort of flow of data we collect into the client's basically, customer data infrastructure is the
Hmm.
most important integration.
Hmm.
And there's a whole variety of companies that we have connectors, pre-built connectors
Okay.
with,
Right.
companies like Braze and Salesforce and
Yeah.
MailChimp, where we're flowing data.
Hmm.
Um, Again, data flows to data lakes. So, it's becoming more and more important, certainly for large enterprises, to actually bring together all the data they have about consumers in a place where they can flexibly process it
Yeah.
and maybe run AI models against it. And so that usually involves flowing data to Google Cloud Storage buckets or Amazon S3 buckets, stuff like that. So those are also options. And then we integrate with a few other key types of platforms. We integrate with loyalty platforms. So, everything we do relates to kind of customer loyalty. We're not a loyalty platform, but we can add a lot of value to loyalty platforms with different engagement formats, data capture capabilities. So integration with loyalty. And we also integrate with the CMSs, so the tools you use to build your website,
Yes.
because Wyng ultimately gives you little pieces of code you can publish,
Embedded. Yes. Okay.
yeah, embed.
Yeah.
So those are a few key areas of integration.
Yeah, definitely you cover entirely everything, like from CMS to,
Yeah,
again. So talking about the competitive landscape, with the expansion of AI-driven customer experience platforms, how does Ring differentiate itself in the competitive landscape?
sure. So as I spoke a little bit about, we really are a best of breed tool for really engagement and data capture. And again, we do focus on mostly, like, we do have some mid-sized clients, but we mostly focus on large businesses and enterprises. Okay. And so engagement and data capture, some of the things that set us apart are, first of all, ease of use,
Okay.
so sort of equipping a non-technical person and on a marketing team to build a nice quiz or a nice survey,
Hmm.
without needing to work with an agency or, involve a development team.
Hmm.
Um, However, because we work with enterprises, we also have a lot of SDKs that companies that do have development teams can use to enhance the experience or customize the experience further. So we have like a pretty extensive set of developer
Okay.
resources, developer docs.
Hmm.
So again, on the experience side, we have really a broad set of um, engaging and fun formats for different sorts of experiences. So
Okay.
if you're, a lot of the time engagement and data capture is promotions, and a marketing promotion is has a functional value. It's collecting some data, maybe
Yeah.
it's driving some sales, but it's often, what gets a customer's attention is that it looks cool or it looks fun. So
Yes.
we have a number of gamification style
Okay. Interesting.
templates, which are
Mm-hmm.
just available out of the box. So you could have a
Mm.
spin to win, or you
Yeah.
can have a gift box where you click it and it opens and you get a coupon code. Or
Mm-hmm.
you can have a game, where you're matching cards,
All
and
right.
it once you match the cards, it reveals a code.
Mm-hmm.
Scratching off to get a reward code or something. So there's a number of um, there's actually many, many, many more examples, like, swipe-based programs where you can swipe to respond from your
Yeah.
mobile.
All
So that when it comes to this sort of marketing engagement, basically having fun customer-facing UI
right.
really improves response rates.
Yes.
And that's an area where we are really quite strong. So many templates of very cool interactive, or gamification styles that you can choose from.
I see.
Um, and I'd say we also differentiate in terms of, our platform is designed for really large scale and unexpected, unpredictable
Great.
volumes.
Okay.
So, because for example, some of our clients are television, they may have online, television audiences where they're putting a promotion and it may drive a lot of traffic in a half hour.
Mhm.
So they can kind of rely on us to sort of scale to meet whatever their demands are. So it's sort of unpredictable volumes,
Yeah.
we handle, and we're architected for that.
Okay.
So those are some of the areas.
All right. Interesting. Actually, I like the interactive part of it because being in this generation, we want something to be interactive anywhere, everywhere. Wherever we see
Yeah.
interaction, we definitely interact. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the interesting catch you have. So talking about current SaaS and AI trends, how do you see deployments in AI influencing Wing's product offerings and approach?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I think that we are, I mean, the fact is that AI is, obviously there's a lot of hype and buzz about it, but
Yeah.
there's a very real opportunity, which I think we're seeing, really kind of playing out across the market to improve productivity and improve business outcomes.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, both simplifying the content generation problem that marketers have, which is
Yeah.
they spend a lot of money on it. It takes a lot of work. So
Mhm.
giving them ways to both generate content with AI, but also control the content that is being generated, right? Because if you're a big brand, you need to have guardrails, around, well, what is if AI is going to generate some content, is it okay with my legal team?
Yes.
So, that mix of using AI to generate content, but providing the guardrails so it meets the regulatory and legal requirements
Yes.
is one area of innovation that we're focused on. And then I think the other area really is, again, that, again, the tools we can incorporate that actually bring real intelligence and the ability to look at past performance
Mhm.
of, how you've used our platform and bring all of that intelligence right into the creative process. So, as you're working on an experience, for the AI system to know, you can actually refer to, well, I'd like to do something similar to what I did last October.
Okay.
And for the system to be able to go and look at that and in fact give you some guidance on, either pull in some of the content from that experience or make some suggestions on how to improve the performance of that experience. It's like this uncharted world really of opportunity,
Yes.
where you have intelligence combined with access to data
Data,
that
yes.
I think, again, can both improve productivity, but also improve outcomes. So it's really exciting, and I think what we're in the process of is really trying to transform the user experience inside our platform
Mhm.
so that it's really putting AI at the center of it.
Okay.
And you can think of it just like having a Wyng expert on tap that knows everything you've done before, and it just knows general best practices. And it's, just available, to help you be successful. So, and I think, that will really change it will allow our clients to get much more value from us than they've been able to, both because it'll be quicker to get value, they'll get better results, and I think just the whole, everyone who's working on any type of marketing program, there's always uncertainty,
Yes,
right?
of course.
There's a lot on the line.
True.
And so to be able to be better informed about it
Mhm.
without actually um, having to change your process around,
Mhm.
meaning you're just working on something. And while you're working on it,
Mhm.
you are learning how to do it better,
Yes,
right?
of course.
It's,
The
you see what I'm saying?
possibilities, yeah. Possibilities of AI is endless. Again, we
Yeah.
can use it in multiple ways to increase productivity and, of course, the value, the output we
Yep.
have been receiving. So, talking about as AI becomes more integrated into SaaS platforms, what are your thoughts on
Yes.
AI's potential to transform customer engagement workflows?
Hmm. So, um, so I think that, the potential, first of all, there is really substantial potential. And I think there's a question really of how is it going to roll out and over what time frame. So, first of all, what we're seeing, at least in with our large enterprise customers,
Mhm.
is that a lot of their focus is on creating kind of fine-tuned models that are proprietary. So, maybe they're building them on Llama, maybe they're building them, on again, fine-tuned versions of OpenAI models, but fine-tuned models that are proprietary, that are able to generate, on-brand content, right? And so there's a lot of investment in that area we're seeing in across our enterprise customer base, where they're building these optimized, fine-tuned, brand-specific models. You can think of it as a brand brain, okay?
Brand, yes.
Where if you're going to use a large language model, it's been fine-tuned to generate content that's on brand, that
Yes.
meets your legal requirements,
Mhm.
and maybe it has product expertise, right?
See, I see.
So that's huge, but that's, again, for large enterprises, those are strategic assets that they are investing in, building on their own. So, so first of all, so basically what that means is like content that's generated by fine-tuned LLMs is going to be, probably ubiquitous,
Yes.
when it comes to marketing content.
Mhm.
Um, the I think what becomes so that's happening now.
Yeah.
I think it becomes very there's a transformation that will is inevitable, where you actually have AI um, helping to provide more personalized engagement, during the shopping experience, right?
Okay.
Um, and I think that's going to take longer, I think, for it to really become something we just kind of see and encounter all the time. I think I don't know how often, I mean, a lot of websites have chatbots.
Yeah.
Most people don't like to use chatbots.
Okay.
Maybe there's chatbots for customer service, but a lot of the time, historically, they're kind of more of a cost savings mechanism
Yeah.
than they are like really loved by customers.
Yeah.
It's just like an
Agreed.
IVR, right? You
Yeah.
call and you're like,
Yeah.
click zero to talk to an
Yeah. Yeah.
operator, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so so I think there's this historical context where I don't think consumers like chatbots, but the fact is that the opportunity that's going to change, because I think what will happen is when you go to buy a product, you actually will have the opportunity to interact with a system that understands your preferences, understands the products, and is able to consultatively help you find what you're looking for. And that's a transformation, like a really big transformation, I think, in terms of how we buy online.
Yeah.
And that I mean, and I think there's a lot of companies that are working towards that.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be an exciting, really change for online, all consumers that are buying online. So
Yeah, yeah, it's like, just going to the any online shop and they ask you, what do you want? Okay, I want something in white, something of this, and what to wear for this purpose. So just like
that's right.
filter out my request and just click and I'll see the desired results rather than going into different, sub menus and find the one I want. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
pretty soon, maybe there are a couple of companies that are doing and will definitely be having all of this across all the platforms, definitely.
yeah. And I don't know if you've seen like voice is going to come into the mix. So, a
Yes.
lot of the stuff that's really interesting about, again, the current iteration of these large language models is, when you have actually multimodal interaction where it's going straight, meaning it's reacting directly to voice, not translating the voice to text and then responding to text.
Yes.
Because it becomes a very natural
Just like,
and much more quick
yeah,
interaction.
yeah, just like you're going
Um,
into a shopping shop and you just ask a salesperson to help you out for something. You just
yes.
talk like that.
So I think that's a little further out, but I think what you should expect 5 years out
Yeah.
is, when you go to, whatever site you're going to,
Mhm.
you have the little microphone icon, you click it,
Yeah.
you just say what
Say,
you're looking for, and
yeah.
you have a conversation.
Yes,
And
definitely. You
and
may
the
get
thing
some
is,
ideas out of it,
yeah,
some suggestion,
yeah,
maybe something you buy for one thing and you just buy
yeah.
so many things at the end.
Yes, and when you come back next week, they're like, "Oh, how did you like that t-shirt you bought?"
Yeah, and you
I
just
know that
shared your
may sound a
pictures
little
with
preachy,
that.
but
Okay. Yeah, you shared
yeah.
your pictures with, okay, fine, I look really good in this. So yeah, definitely we're very soon with that.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
not far. Yeah.
sorry. So what are some major challenges Wing faces when deploying AI for customer experiences, especially in diverse markets?
Hmm. Okay. So so I think we're still, when it comes to consumer facing content generated by AI, which again, I talked about generative AI engagement, it's still early days. What I mean by that is that certainly when you talk to larger businesses,
Mhm.
there's a lot of concern still about the risk and, sharing AI generated content directly with consumers. So one of the key friction points we find in the market today is, as companies are kind of getting they're really building their own experience with, really, what are the risks with generative AI content? Where does it work well? What are the guardrails we need? And so different companies are at different stages in their adoption curve.
Yes.
So when it comes, in terms of where we're friction points with generative AI content, a key one is just getting the internal, like, often the marketing teams love it. They're very excited,
Yeah.
but getting green lights from, sort of the legal teams, the compliance
Yes.
teams,
Yes.
that's sort of where, um,
Friction.
it depends on where each customer is in their, adoption cycle. That's going
Yeah.
to change. And but because this is still, it's early days.
Yes.
The I'll be honest that I think that when it comes to the productivity side, so this other part, the co-pilot type capabilities, we see just excitement about that. We see very little, at this point, it just feels like there's a lot of appetite
Yes.
across our client base
Mhm.
for AI tools that can improve productivity.
Yeah, because I think at this point, at this side, co-pilot side, everybody wants to actually experiment AI with
Yes,
anything and everything. So they are not
yes,
considering as a challenge. They're actually
yes,
considering it as an opportunity, whether it goes
that's
wrong or
right.
right. Yes, definitely.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think you hit on a very important point, which is we are very much still in an experimentation mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why I think, we spoke earlier about some of the things we're trying to do. I wouldn't say we're trying to do them differently than other companies, but things we're focusing a lot of our energy on
Yeah.
is, making the AI easy to experiment with, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
if you can build like a cocktail recipe generator without involving any developers on your team,
Yeah.
you can play around. You can play
Yes.
around with prompts. You can play around with questions. You can play
Yeah.
around with things with very little time
Yeah.
required or cost.
Yeah. Marketers don't
And
need to stand by with the developers to do this, do this, do
that's
this,
right.
embed this code. Yes, definitely. It's
That's right.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of productizing that, I think,
Yeah.
is part of what is fun for us. How do you create really a no code mechanism to build those sorts of fun, engaging AI powered
I see.
experiences?
I see. So talking about ethical considerations, how does Wing
Yeah.
ensure ethical considerations such as data privacy, ergo transparency, especially when dealing with sensitive customer data?
Yeah. That's a great question. So, and some of this is about AI, some of it is not about AI. I think
Mhm.
in general, Wing, we are again, a engagement and data capture platform. So we're processing consumer data, personally identifiable information. That's the bread and butter of our business. Our model is to say we are a tool that our clients, brands, marketers can use to collect data where the data is out, in isolated silos. So
Yeah.
there's no, Wing does not uh, aggregate client data, or really we don't sell data, to our clients or to anyone else. So, for us, we are really there are very strict isolation
Mhm.
between all data that a given client collects and processes in Wing.
Mhm.
These are very well isolated, and that's, from the top to the bottom. Um, we also, there are sometimes it's a boring topic, but when there are really good frameworks out there, for example, SOC 2, where there's just a lot of important best practices related to um, securing data, maintaining privacy, that going through those regular annual audits, it can really help, because you can always make a promise,
Mhm.
but it's something else to live it, as a business, because there's a lot of things you have to 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 keep doing on a regular basis, that really are necessary to protect data and secure it appropriately. So we've been for quite a few years doing these annual SOC 2 audits, security audits, which is, I think, part of what makes us confident that we're holding up our promise to our customers.
I see.
Um, then if we shift on the AI side specifically, I think, it's really important to understand when you're using a large language model, what are they doing with the data that you're sending? And the thing with large language models is they don't learn from the interactions. They're sort of at a static, they have a static set of understanding that,
Yes.
but the companies that operate the large language models may well take all the
Sure.
questions and answers and responses and use them to train future models.
Yes, of course. Yes, they
And
do.
so it's really important to understand terms of service of
Mm.
whatever LLM APIs you're using.
Mhm.
And for in our case, for the platforms we
Like
integrate into
data.
Wyng,
Yeah.
we ensure that those API AI partners are not going to be training
Data.
by using
Yeah.
data of our clients.
I
But
see.
it's important to understand the terms of service.
I see. I see. It's very important these days because you never because it's all about data. Or each and every LLM needs data. Everybody's like looking for data. So definitely
Yeah.
security is very important. So talking about
Yep.
the Wing share to industry transformation, how do you envision Wing contributing to the shift in the customer experience platforms, particularly in personalization and real-time engagement?
Hmm. Great. That's a great question. So, with respect to personalization, I think personalization, the kind of first of all, it's everywhere, right? I mean, most interaction you have online is personalized.
Yeah.
Most personalization is based on first party behavioral data. So, you're clicking around, you just take Amazon as an example. You clicked on a product, you go back to Amazon and you see it down there, or you might see similar products, right? Collaborative filtering, uh, to try to understand what products might be relevant to you based on your actions. So, the real core of the current state of personalization online is really behavioral data driven.
Yeah.
You know, what products are you looking at? What did you put in cart? Maybe which emails did you click on? And that those sort of data signals, behavioral signals, are driving most personalization.
Yeah.
We feel there's an amazing opportunity, and it's untapped to take advantage of really each customer's preferences, which is preferences and values, which is a separate layer of data
Yes.
from behavioral. And are you familiar with the term zero party data? Have you heard that term?
Yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, it's a term that Forrester, I think for a few years has been using to describe this category
Yes.
because this is sort of a subset of first party data. If you have a preference survey, you're collecting it directly from your customer, but it's actually collecting preference information. And so this term zero party data is again this category that's used to describe really preference data, values related data. And so we have invested a lot both in giving our clients the tools to collect
Mhm.
zero party data,
Okay.
as well as a number of APIs they can use to personalize by using preference data. So we have APIs, SDKs, the ability to develop segments.
Mhm.
So if you have website visitors and you've collected preference data from them, in Wyng you can define segments of those customers and
Okay.
then trigger or personalize, some content based on, their preferences.
I see.
And so that's an area where we probably are thinking really we're probably the leading edge thinkers with respect to again incorporating collecting zero party data and leveraging zero party data to personalize.
Right.
So it's an
I
area
see.
of focus for us because again, anytime I mentioned earlier that we are a business focused on owned data,
Data.
enriching your own data.
Mhm.
And preferences are really
The key here.
one of the most important parts of that.
I see. I see. So talking about future, right? Do you believe AI can replace human intervention in customer engagement, or will it always need to complement human expertise?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think that we can sort of, if you look at the current state of play,
Yeah.
let's ignore AI for a moment.
Hmm.
We have automated systems like IVRs when you call a phone number, chat bots, um, which and obviously just the website in general is an automated system, right?
Yeah.
There's a search-based UI, filtering and search, that are trying to help. a customer,
I see.
through a buying or customer support process. Um, so, I think AI can improve all aspects of the current automation in a customer experience. And so making chatbots that nobody wants to use into chatbots that actually work.
Yeah.
The end result of that is there'll be a lot. Customers will be happier even when they're getting fully automated interactions, and there'll
Yeah.
be fewer things that fall through and really need a person to get involved, right?
Yeah.
But there's always going to be the need for people to get involved. I do think there'll be still a very real shift. The percentage of consumer, let's say, support inquiries that can be handled in a fully automated way is going to be, greater. And the satisfaction of users with the handling will also be greater.
I see.
Um, on the flip side, even on the marketing and sales side, like as a SaaS software company, one of the main things we want to do is find new customers.
Yes.
And the way we find customers is we do outreach
Yes.
of various kinds.
Mhm.
There's a role called a BDR. I don't know if you're familiar with that, business
Yeah.
development
Yeah.
representative, whose
Yeah.
goal is to build a qualified pipeline,
Yes.
right, for a sales team.
Mhm.
There's opportunities really for AI to um, really help on that side,
Yeah.
in terms of how you actually find and
Right.
qualify leads.
Yes.
Um, and again, it's not going to eliminate the sales jobs. I mean, it may,
Yes.
but it certainly is going to help salespeople be more productive and drive more revenue,
I
right?
see.
Because
What?
the tools are going to be better than the tools they have today.
So, what are the key strategies do you use to inspire your team to innovate in such a dynamic field?
Sure. That's a great question. I mean, first of all, I think it's really important to take the time out
Mm-hmm.
to just play around with what's out there. And, because I think, if you often we're no matter what our roles are, we're all quite busy. But we have internal, we use, this isn't a plug for Slack, but we use Slack a lot for just internal
Yeah.
collaboration. And
Yes.
and so we actually end up with, specific channels in Slack where people can just talk about certain topics,
Mm.
and they could share things they've found, and
Yeah.
so we have an AI channel, and that's been
Okay.
one of the most interesting channels
These
in
days.
Wyng for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, people find really interesting things, they put it in
Uh,
there, everybody
yeah.
sees it, they try them out.
Mm.
So one thing is just to have that be encouraged, right?
Yeah.
Internally,
Yeah.
experiment and share what you find, right?
Mm.
And to give your employees a mechanism to share.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so that's one thing. The other thing is we really do, when we are launching some new product,
Mhm.
or we're thinking of launching some new product,
All
we
right.
do really try to have a more collaborative process internally where we're getting, people's perspectives. Anyone who touches the customer, whatever their role is, they can
Mhm.
have a lot to add in terms of what we could be doing better or what the
Yes.
opportunities are.
Yeah.
And so, in our product planning process, we have a bigger group of internal stakeholders involved. And again, that also helps because we are a product company.
Mhm.
And so it's really nice if you work for a product company to feel like you're helping to shape the product, right?
Yes.
Even if you're not in the engineering team.
Mhm.
And so for us, that I think also helps to, encourage innovation. And then
Great.
once we actually release something, people feel skin in the game, because they helped come up with the ideas.
That's very important to let them be themselves, of course,
Yeah.
when they're doing, just be themselves. So, anyway, one last question. We're wrapping up. It's more than 45 minutes.
Yep.
So, any piece of advice you would like to give to aspiring, or you can say the coming entrepreneurs, uh,
Yeah.
be it they want to start their AI-driven industry or anything, just a
You
piece of
bet.
advice based on your
Yeah.
entrepreneur journey.
Oh. So yeah, I mean, so So for me, this is my third business, my third tech startup. I originally worked on Wall Street years ago. Um, and I think the most important thing I've learned is it's really important to actually get feedback early on um, from people you don't know. That is, meaning who are your potential customers? You need to have conversations with your potential customers.
Okay.
And ideally, they are cold. You're finding ways to find customers cold
Yeah.
that don't know you, that aren't, friends of friends.
Mhm.
And you are, sharing before you invest 6 months, building out a product. You're validating what will happen during the sales cycle. Because in the sales cycle, you don't have 6 months. You're
Yes.
talking to someone and they're going to respond positively or they're going to
Mhm.
not respond positively.
Yes.
And you can test that out as long as you have the right content.
Yes.
And yeah, maybe you need some sort of prototype, simple prototypes, something to demo,
Yeah.
but a focus on really um, practicing the sales process
Yes.
because that's where you can really get the feedback of how I mean ultimately a business is about really efficiently identifying customers and getting
Yes.
people into the pipeline.
Yeah.
And you can have a great product
Mhm.
and really struggle because you don't know how to drive the revenue.
Mhm.
The great thing is you can validate how to drive the revenue before you even engineer the product.
True.
And
Yes.
it doesn't cost a lot of money and it
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot of time. And the
Mhm.
key is just to actually have conversations with potential customers
Yes.
that don't know you.
All right. Of course. Okay. Of course, talking to customers, exactly getting to know what they want rather than what you
Yeah.
think they want. So yeah, that's one of the interesting advice we'll definitely share with our audience. So thank you so much for your time and wish you good luck for all your future endeavors. And actually, very interesting to get to know you, your journey, and of course, your opinions and thoughts about AI, and of course, your contribution to the industry. Thank you so much, Mr. Prakash.
No, this was a great conversation. I enjoyed it, and thanks
Mhm.
for asking us. And again, we look forward to following what you guys are
Yeah,
doing.
definitely.